Hello and welcome to a discussion that provides an overview of the components that must be computed to determine pension expense. Watching this video will help prepare you for class. It is important that you view this video before class so we can learn more together in class. After you view this video, you should be able to compute pension expense and record the 2 journal entries related to pension expense. The income statement reports expenses for a period of time. The pension expense that is reported on the income statement should represent the cost of employees working during the period. This requires the inclusion of several different components. The service cost is the present value of the cost of employees working one more year. This is computed by the actuary by comparing the cumulative cost at the beginning of the year to the cumulative cost at the end of the year. The difference is the cost of employees working one more year. Interest is added for the time passed during the year. This is necessary because the service cost is at the present value of the total benefits to be paid to employees. Present value is without future interest cost, and interest must be added as time passes. The estimated return on plan assets is subtracted from the expense. The company put the cash into the pension trust fund and the company gets credit for the earnings of the trust fund. Any amounts earned by the trust fund will reduce the amount the company has to give the trust fund in the future. An estimated return is used instead of the actual returns. Actual returns are often volatile, moving up and down over the years. If the actual return were used, pension expense would go up and down with the actual return. Pension expense is an operating expense, and this would mean that operating income would change with changes in the stock and bond markets. An estimated return over a period of 30 years or so is used to keep changes in the markets from affecting operating income. The gains and losses from pension plan amendments and the change in actuary factors were initially recorded to OCI. You should remember the second journal entry that put these into OCI. The gain or loss is amortized to pension expense over the average time employees will work until they retire. This is referred to as the service life. The difference in the estimated return and the actual return on assets is also put into OCI. This difference is also taken out of OCI and put into pension expense when the difference becomes large enough to matter. We will discuss this later in the video. All of these components together make up the pension expense reported on the income statement for the current period. Pension expense is a calculated amount. Let's talk about the components in a little more detail. Service cost is the cost of employees working one more year. It is computed by the actuary by comparing the cost at the beginning of the year to the cost at the end of the year. The difference is the cost of employees working one more year. This amount will be given to you. The service cost is at the present value of the total benefits to be paid to employees. Present value is without future interest cost, and interest must be added as time passes. Interest cost is computed as the beginning PBO times the discount rate. In practice, companies use a weighted average PBO during the year. We will use the beginning amount so that we can calculate it. The discount rate is generally determined by the 10-year bond rate. The discount rate changes from year to year with changes in market rates. The estimated return on plan assets reduces the pension expense to the company. Any amounts earned by the trust fund will reduce the amount the company has to give the trust fund in the future. An estimated return is used instead of an actual return. A positive return will always be estimated. The estimated return is computed as the beginning fair market value of the assets in the trust fund multiplied by the percent return estimated by the company. In practice, the investment statement will show the return. Over the last 100 years, investments have averaged about 6 to 7%, regardless of the ups and downs of the markets. Changes from plan amendments were originally recorded to OCI. This gain or loss is amortized into pension expense over the time employees are expected to work in the future. This is referred to as the service life. The word amortized means to move to expense over time. Actuary factors such as how long employees will work, what they will earn, and how long they will live, along with interest rates, are estimated annually. Changes in estimates change the amount the company will have to pay employees. The change in the obligation that came about just because actuary factors were different is put into OCI the year the change occurs. The gain or loss is amortized over the service life into pension expense. This is very similar to the amortization of prior service cost. A deferred or unrecognized gain or loss on plan assets is the cumulative difference in the actual and estimated return on plan assets. The estimated amount impacts pension expense. The actual amount changes the plan assets available. The difference in the estimate and actual return is reported in OCI until the difference gets large enough to matter. Large enough to matter is 10% of the largest of the beginning obligation or the beginning fair market value of assets. Here is an example of how the deferred gain or loss comes about. This plan has been in effect for 3 years. The assets and PBO columns are beginning of year amounts. The assets increase each year with actual earnings and contributions made by the company. The obligation changes each year as employees work and earn their pension. The pension trust fund earns an actual amount each year. After 3 years, the fund has earned a total actual amount of $168,000. The company estimated the trust fund would earn a total of $75,000 over the 3 years. The difference in the estimated and actual return is $93,000 more than expected. This is the deferred or unrecognized gain or loss. Earnings more than expected is a gain. Earning less than expected is a loss. The first step is to take 10% of the greater of the fair market value of assets, or the PBO. In this case, the largest is the PBO at $680,000. $680,000 is multiplied by 10%, and it is determined that any cumulative difference over $68,000 is large enough to matter. The cumulative difference of $93,000 is $25,000 higher than the amount big enough to matter. The $25,000 is amortized over the service life into pension expense. Nothing is included in pension expense when the amount is not larger than 10%. The current year difference in the estimated return on assets and the actual return on assets is added to OCI, an owner's equity account. Actual returns greater than estimated returns is a gain. Gains increase OCI and reduce the pension liability. Actual returns less than estimated returns is a loss. Losses decrease OCI and increase pension liability. The fourth journal entry records pension expense. Pension expense is recorded for the total calculated amount. A 1-year amount of the prior service cost, actuary changes, and deferred gains or losses on assets, if it's big enough, is included in pension expense. The 1-year amount is the amount amortized into pension expense. The amounts that come out of OCI are recorded opposite of amounts that go into OCI. Gains go into OCI with a credit, and therefore they come out of OCI with a debit in this entry. Losses go into OCI with a debit, and they come out of OCI with a credit in this entry. The amounts associated with the current year only are recorded to pension liability. Pension liability increases for the first 3 components of pension expense, which is the service cost, the interest cost, and the estimated return on assets. After viewing this video, you should be able to record pension expense and explain the different components of pension expense. You should be able to record the journal entries related to pension expense and the difference in the estimated and actual returns on investments to OCI. I know you need to see numbers, and we will walk through a complete example in the next video. Thank you for being prepared for class. It is very much appreciated.